Cobblers are amazing. And I'm not talking about the guys that make shoes. I'm talking about these beauties. These are wonderful desserts that are simple to make, take only 7 ingredients, and can be yours in as little as an hour. I've been making these since I was 12, when I found my mom's recipe up in the cabinet, and since then, I've been turning it into my own recipe. In fact, I found the secret ingredient to this is heavy whipping cream, and I found that out by making an accident at the grocery store. In fact, I went in there to buy the regular cream, walked out with the heavy whipping cream, and didn't realize that it would make a difference. And you know what? Sometimes mistakes are for the better. So, without keeping you any longer, let me show you how to make this thing. So now, we are going to gather our ingredients. We need 1 3/4 cups of flour, all-purpose is fine, half cup of sugar to put in our fruit, half cup of sugar to put in our mix, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, 6 tablespoons of chilled chopped butter, 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, 6 cups of fresh fruit or canned, that can be 2 large cans or 4 small, and a greased 9x13 pan. Also, you need to set your oven to 375 degrees. So I am going to begin by taking our fruit, which I have had draining over here for the last 20 minutes. You do want to let your canned fruit drain, or else you get a bit of a soupy mix. And I'm going to place it in a lightly greased pan. Just like that. Nothing too fancy. If it's not perfectly even, just give it a little shake like that. Gonna take your sugar, and you're gonna put a bit on here. You don't have to use all of it, but you do want to use enough to give you the flavor that you want. As you see, I am not going to use all of it, because I don't like mine super sweet. And then I'm going to set this aside for the time being. Next, I'm going to grab my large mixing bowl, and I'm going to add the flour to it, followed by baking powder and salt. You want to wait to add the sugar until later, or else you end up with a mix that doesn't quite have the right consistency. I'm going to take a universal fork and blend. Just enough to get it nice and mixed in there, but nothing too fancy. Now you're going to take your 6 tablespoons of chopped butter and pop it in there. This is when you get your hands dirty. Just going to reach right in here, grab the butter, and start blending it in. The consistency you're looking for is kind of like breadcrumbs almost. And as you see, the butter sticks to your hand. That's perfectly normal. This is one of those meals, or desserts rather, that as you're doing this, you really get to put your hands in it, get a feel for the food. It's kind of fun. If you don't like making messes, you can wear rubber gloves. I personally don't really mind, and I just go at it. See? Not bad. Messy hands, good food. Gonna take the other half cup of sugar, pour it all in there, and at this point you can go back to your fork, or if your hands are already dirty, you can grab them. Show you how to do it with the fork here. Just blend that in nicely. Then you're going to take your cup of heavy cream. Now most recipes will just call for a cup of cream, or maybe even milk. I find the heavy cream gives that much more dense, just rich topping. So just blend it in slowly, a little bit at a time, make sure you get it all in there. And I am doing this left-handed right now, so it might not look as best as you can, but you can imagine. Pour the last of the cream in there, and you'll notice there's always a little bit remaining in the cup here. I'll set that aside, go back to my right hand, and give this a good mix. Now it's starting to make a bit of a dough. Now at this point, you have this nice dough starting to form, and you'll see it sticking to my fork. So I am going to rub this off, set my fork to the side, and now you get to get your hands even more dirty. You're going to pick up the big old lump of dough you have in here and start kneading it together a little bit. So just like that, give it a couple of good kneads, pick up anything that might be left in there, and as you see, I'm making a mess. And something I like to say is if you're making a dessert and you ain't making a mess, you ain't making a good dessert. So we got this nice big ball of dough here, and from here, we're going to put it on our fruit. Now, there's 2 different methods you could do. You could take this lump of dough, slap it down on the counter, and roll it out. Or, I'm going to show you my preference. I'm going to bring my pan back in frame here. Take a small bit of dough like this. Mash it down in my hands. Watch it stick a little bit. And I'm going to lay it down. To me, this gives that cobble look, kind of like a cobblestone street, which is actually where they think the name for this comes from, is because the topping of this looks like cobbles. So we're just going to keep going, making these little cobbles here. Very sticky, very messy, but in the end, very tasty. Now, if you are going to roll this out, you do want to make sure you put plenty of flour down on the surface you're going to roll on, normally a counter or a cutting board, and then make sure you are flouring very thoroughly your rolling pin, or else you will not get this back off and onto your cobble. You'll end up with just a very doughy rolling pin, which you can't eat a rolling pin, so it just doesn't taste as good. Alright, here's the last one. Put that in there. Got a little bit more here, so I'm just going to flatten that out, kind of stuff it in there. And you'll see that this isn't perfectly covered, but that doesn't really matter. If you want it perfectly covered, you'll roll it out and get that nice 9x13 look. I like the cobbles. So now, I'm going to go pop this in the oven for 40 to 50 minutes. And my particular oven, it cooks just perfect in 43. So, I'm going to pop it in the oven real quick. And so, here it is. With 7 little ingredients, you can make this super simple gotta have recipe. It's so easy, you can have it any night. So, why not tonight? Have a good one.